Some Like It Hot on paper maybe shouldn't work. The screwball, farce, gangster thriller and the romance all kind of smashed together. It's just so well constructed, the pace never sags, there's loads of setups with payoffs, and it does build to one of the great closing lines in movies.
You talk about a timeless comedy, and this is it. We're talking about Jack Lemmon, we're talking about Tony Curtis, we're talking about Marilyn Monroe. This whole film just oozes Hollywood class from every pore, and it goes down like a really fine champagne every time.
There's just such an aura surrounding Marilyn as soon as she hits the screen. When she's on screen, she steals everyone's limelight. She had really good comic timing and unprecedented screen presence. I think she's probably the biggest screen icon there has ever been.
We say we tell the story of Hollywood one film at a time. Some films fit that because they're important, some films fit that because they're much loved. This one is both.
All the right movies.
Hello and welcome to All the Right Movies. We always get the fuzzy end of the lollipop here as we tell the story of Hollywood one film at a time. And today's show, it's stone cold classic territory, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Wilder, Monroe, Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon. We're telling you how one of the most acclaimed comedies of all time got made in Some Like It Hot.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, a big one.
Sounds perfect, right?
Few things up, but this one is.
Before we hightail it to Florida, though, should we plug our own little gangland racket over on Patreon?
Let's do it.
Nothing as crooked as bootlegging, but if you're a regular around these parts, you can help support what we do by becoming an ATRM patron. Patrons get our monthly bonus show, Double Feature. That's where we put two thematically linked films head to head, dig into them, and decide which one earns a spot on the shortlist for this, our main show. Mm-hmm. You'll also get the Watch List, which is our monthly review show, as well as a host of other benefits as well. So to find out more, visit patreon.com/all the right movies, or you can subscribe directly on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. A no-brainer that, surely.
Yes, please, guys, if you can. Worth your while.
Yes, be wonderful.
Back to today, though, and it is Some Like It Hot. You put this one up, Matt. Mm-hmm. You've been trying for a while, I think.
I have, yes.
So why are we talking about it?
Well, a lot of the time, I determine my picks by people we've not covered yet on a classic, and in terms of directors, Billy Wilder is at the very top. I mean, the run of films he had from the 40s through to the 60s is incredible. And if we're going to start somewhere with him, why would you not start with this one? I mean, you talk about a timeless comedy, and this is it. Every element of this could have dated very badly, and yet it hasn't. It's as fresh and as entertaining as it ever was. And apart from Billy Wilder, we're talking about Jack Lemmon. We're talking about Tony Curtis. We're talking about Marilyn Monroe. We're talking about Tony Curtis as Cary Grant. This whole film just oozes Hollywood class from every pore, and it goes down like a really fine champagne every time.
That's true enough. Very similar to me, Matt. I mean, I've known this one basically my whole life because it was my mother and sister's favourite film, so it was on in our house a lot when I was growing up.
Nice.
So I was aware of Some Like It Hot before I even understood what half of it was about, really.
Yeah.
Not many comedies, I don't think, survive that long with you, like The Circle of Life, but here we are, still there.
Yeah.
And as a story to dig into, this is like catnip for us.
Oh, it is.
Classic screwball comedy / gangster thriller, also romance, but this era, it's one that we visit now and again, and it's always a treat because firstly you have like proper movie stars.
Yeah.
Tony Curtis, Jack Lemmon, which is great to talk about. First time with Marilyn Monroe,
Yeah.
possibly the most iconic actor or actress there is. So that's a treat. And first time with writer-director Billy Wilder, who I think we're all fans of. So some great names to discuss. And a great behind-the-scenes story as well, like the relationship between Marilyn and Wilder and the stories that come from it on this film is kind of one for the ages. And a lot of people might not know, but Some Like It Hot is an adaptation. It wasn't an original script, so stick around for that and the story behind that. And loads more great stuff coming as well, plus our standard massive opinions. And there's obviously going to be laughs aplenty, I would think. Imagine a really miserable episode on Some Like It Hot. Miserable guys.
But that's when I've been drafted in instead of Westy. You would have just been miserable.
Well, stick around, everyone, because this should be a fun one.
Should.
Yeah, very much. A bona fide classic, like you fellas have been saying. I like that we're reaching further and further back recently. Great movies did exist before the 70s, and this is just, a prime example.
Yeah.
I don't think I got round to it until my early 20s, I think, just after reading movie magazines and getting more seriously into film. I liked it, obviously, but it didn't really stick. And I've seen it a few times since, but my love has accelerated the older I've gotten and more appreciative I've become of the era.
Yeah.
And I also saw it on Broadway a few years back, which really cemented
Oh, wow.
my love for it even further.
Lovely.
Amazing.
You've got all that talent in front and behind the camera, which we'll get into. You've got one of the Hollywood icons in Marilyn Monroe. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
An underappreciated double act in Lemmon and Curtis. And in that niche subgenre, I think it's one of the most underrated mob comedy movies there is.
Yeah.
But it is so much more than that. It's 2 hours that just absolutely fly by. Like you said, John, this is going to be a good one.
Hopefully. Let's find out.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
So Some Like It Hot was produced by the Mirish Company, distributed by United Artists and released on March the 19th, 1959. Filmed largely in Southern California, both on location and studio lots. It was directed by Billy Wilder, written by Wilder and I.A.L. Diamond, and stars Tony Curtis as Joe/Josephine/Jr., Jack Lemmon as Jerry/Daphne, and Marilyn Monroe as Sugar Kane. Let's turn the clock back then, should we?
Let's do it.
Let's go there.
It's Prohibition-era Chicago, bootleg liquor in the coffin, as we talk the beginning of Some Like It Hot.
The beginning.
Chicago 1929, and Some Like It Hot hits the ground running. A car chase, a shootout, and a coffin full of contraband. In the opening scenes, we take in a hidden speakeasy, the most famous parking garage massacre in movies, and a train ride to Florida with an all-girl band.
Oh, yes. What a start.
So a hearse loaded with bootleg liquor leads us to Mozzarella's funeral parlour, a front for a roaring speakeasy run by gangster Spats Colombo. Here we meet our heroes, Joe and Jerry, sax and bass. And after witnessing the St. Valentine's Day massacre, they end up running from the mob to join Sugar and the girls.
Oh, yeah.
So, Luke, you first. Over to you for the opening.
Yeah, I mean, I love this world that we're plunged into. The mob, the coppers in hot pursuit, Chicago in the roaring 20s. And then you get Mozzarella's funeral parlour. Just a massive blatant front for whiskey and booze.
Yeah.
I don't think Mozzarella or Spats are making too much of a cover-up job, to be honest. Just getting bootleg whiskey delivered in a coffin around the back. Oh, that'll do it.
Yeah.
I really like the juxtaposition between the somber organ music in the front, and then when that door opens, it's jazz, it's booze, smoking,
Yeah,
girls.
it's brilliant,
If you've got to go, that's the way to do it. Great.
Yeah.
And then when we're in there, the waiter is still kind of keeping up this thin layer of a cover-up. We only serve coffee, Scotch coffee, Canadian sour mash, with loads of winks being dished out.
Yeah.
So this scene is all set up for a world that we're in, and our principals as well. Firstly, you've got Spats, in his ever-present Spats, and his goon squad around him. The ugliest crew I think I've ever seen, these guys.
They really are.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
dear me. I love that guy who gets dragged out after spilling his drink on Spats.
Yeah, he's
he's
amazing.
desperate for another cup of coffee, and he just shows up throughout the scene.
I want another coffee.
Another cup of coffee. And then we're over to Jerry and Joe in the band. A couple of bums who can't rub two dimes together. They owe every bookie, dancing girl and Chinese laundry in town. These characters are so sharply defined in the space of 90 seconds. And there's a lovely line when Jerry is protesting that the grease lightning bet might, suppose it loses. And Joe comes back, suppose he got hit by a truck, suppose the stock market crashes, suppose Mary Pickford divorces Douglas Fairbanks, suppose the Dodgers leave Brooklyn. All of which did happen, of course. Maybe a little obvious in 59, but that's really great dialogue in retrospect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
Joe and Jerry spy a none-too-subtle Mulligan, the copper, using his police badge to prick his cigar. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then all hell breaks loose, and the fellas make a run for it with their instruments. The scene crams so much setup in while still sizzling with dialogue. It's incredible stuff.
It is a great starter. It's a great set. Mozzarella, isn't it?
Yeah.
All those interiors look fantastic. And what an intro to Spats. A fella spills a drop of wine on his Spats and he's raging, hurled out the place. He definitely has him whacked off
yeah,
screen
he's dead.
for that, without doubt.
100% dead.
It is also our first sight of Joe and Jerry sleazing all over the chorus girls in the band straight away, which is outrageous.
Yeah.
And actually going back to the very start, I think that's really clever because Wilder kicks off with all this jaunty, comedic credits music, and then it's bang,
Action.
straight into a car chase and a police shootout.
Yeah.
You can see the Hollywood budget on the screen straight away with the period cars and the stunts and stuff. That's really good. And that image of the coffin being prized open to reveal that it's full of liquor, that's surely a bit of symbolism from Wilder because it's presenting as one thing, but underneath something else completely. So
Yeah.
it kind of foreshadows what's to come a bit.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So, great way to open, I think. It's big, spectacular, a little bit of symbolism, and I like it as an intro to Jerry and Joe, although we won't be calling them that for too long.
No.
It all gets very confusing.
So obviously the bet doesn't come off and I have to go looking for more work, which is where we get the scene at the musical agency. And there's so many great setups and vital bits of information in this. I mean, going into office after office, That shows how desperate the situation is for anyone in this industry, not just Jerry and Joe. It's constantly open the door. Anything? No, nothing. Not today. Thank you. Next one. Anything? No, not today. Thank you. And then we see one of the secretaries, Nellie, she's pissed off because Joe has stood her up. So we know Joe is a bit of a hound. That sets up his behaviour towards Sugar later. We get, when he makes his excuse, we get the blood type O joke here. That gets referred to back later on. So many setups. And the most important thing here is because Joe has pissed Nellie off. Her revenge is to embarrass the pair of them by making them think there's a job they can do, except they don't know it's a job for women. And that's such clever writing, because how else would they find out about it? If she wasn't annoyed at him, she wouldn't even mention it. So now there's a genuine reason for them to find this fact out and have it in the back of their heads. So it's telling us about character at the same time as moving the plot forward. And also the fact they find out about it now, before they need a reason to dress up as women, that makes everything just so much more logical coming down the track. Because if this was the other way around and they found out about the job after the murder, the momentum would stall and would feel very contrived. So for a scene that feels quite throwaway, it's so economical in setting up so much of the plot.
It is, yeah. I mean, this scene's where the all-girl band gig first comes up. Jerry is well up for it. The second he has the pass as women, he's basically there already. Like, count me in, love that.
We'll get a couple of wigs. Some padding.
And Joe, absolute player, running a right little game on poor Nellie, the admin girl.
Yeah.
It's funny when Jerry says, "Isn't he a bit of terrific?" That's the most Billy Wilder line I think I've ever heard. But we know these two are complete chancers and maybe not particularly good people at this point either. But the flip side is that it's Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis, which kind of hoodwinks us into liking them, I think.
So after that, they convince Nellie to give them their car so they can go and do this gig. I mean, first question is what is Nellie Weinmeyer's car doing in this shady garage? These guys playing cards, packed with loads of heat. There's a great line about the gas. 40 cents, please. Put it on Miss Weinmeyer's bill? Yeah, why not? And while you're at it, fill her up. Great line. I love that. But this scene is a great narrative beat. The boys are on their way to Urbana for a St. Valentine's Day dance, but the mob have other plans for them, which changes the whole trajectory of their travels. And it's quite a brutal scene, something that I think the film doesn't get credit for. But it's absolutely necessary for us to understand how much of a bastard Spats is.
Yeah.
Toothpick Charlie and his chummies all gunned down in cold blood. Even the guy pumping gas doesn't get let off.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a great scene just in isolation, but the writing is so strong because these are all credible choices, kind of what you were saying, Matt, that Joe and Jerry have to make to get them out of a very tight spot. It's completely believable that they would happily jump into a pair of pantyhose and pretend they're a couple of dames because Spats doesn't leave anything to chance.
Yeah, I mean, this is the scene the rest of the film kind of hangs off, really. And for 1959, I agree, Luke. I think it's pretty hard-hitting.
It is.
I mean, there's no winking at the camera. Toothpick Charlie and the boys are just lined up and gunned down. And you actually see blood as well, which you don't always expect in this era. And yeah, I feel really bad for that poor petrol pump attendant who's just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Spats just lines him up as well. But then that kind of brutality is punctuated like straight away with Jerry's reaction. He's like, "I think I'm going to be sick," which is great. But it's a great scene because the film's known for the whole cross-dressing thing mostly, and this is just the means by which to make that happen. But all the time in films, especially comedies, something happens, characters react, and I kind of think, would you really do that just because that happened? Here, I do buy that Joe and Jerry run off to Florida as women because Spats is an absolute terror.
And what else can they do?
Later when he says he'll have to dig them up.
Yeah.
But this scene, he has the kind of inciting incident to make it all happen. If anything, it doesn't need to be as good as it is, I don't think. But I'm glad it is because I think it's great.
Yeah, completely agree. I think this scene is indicative of the mastery of Billy Wilder because in this knockabout comedy, which has been played very light so far, you get this scene and it could genuinely fit in with any James Cagney film from back then. It's played so straight with so much menace. And obviously you can't show loads of blood and guts back then, but we get a bit. But as he's saying, it's just brutal. The way that Spats just dispatches these guys. And to shift this tone from scene to scene without any kind of stumble is just masterful. And I think the fact that this is a historical event that everyone in the audience would know about and was still in living memory for a lot of people, that gives it so much more weight, I think, than if it was just a completely fictional and random killing that Joe and Jerry stumbled upon. And as you say, and the fact that they even kill that innocent mechanic, that gives it the level of menace that you do need to make what Joe and Jerry do plausible, as desperate as it is.
Yeah, I agree. You're right. The fact that it's a real event makes it, gives it a lot more weight, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah, this St. Valentine's Day Massacre was a real event, as you're saying. It took place on February 14th, naturally 1929, when members of Bugs Moran's Chicago gang were gunned down by 4 armed men in a downtown garage. Nobody took the rap for it, but it's widely believed that the hit was ordered by one Alphonse Capone in the war for control of Chicago's bootlegging rackets.
Yeah, so 7 men were killed. 5 of them were part of Bugs Moran's gang. 1 was an optician, and the other was a mechanic working at the garage. So that's why that guy's in there, like we said.
And in casting Spats Colombo, Wilder knew he wanted an actor with a kind of dark presence needed to play a mob boss. So he initially considered names like Pat O'Brien and Paul Muni before deciding he wanted to get James Cagney. Cagney, though, had scheduling conflicts, which is when Wilder approached George Raft, who'd played a gangster in 1932's Scarface.
Yeah, he was known as a bit of a gangster type at the time. He plays Rinaldo in Scarface, like a mob enforcer.
Yeah.
He's really slick, so Wilder knew he could play the kind of suave gangster he wanted Spats to be, I guess. I think he's really good. George Raft, absolute bastard.
He's brilliant.
And there's a nod to Scarface because in that film, George Raft's character, Ronaldo, has a trait where he constantly flips a coin. In the final act at the hotel, another gangster, Johnny Paradise, is flipping a coin and Spats stops him and says, "Where did you pick up that cheap trick?"
Yeah.
Nice little nod.
Yeah.
Lovely that. There's nods to other classic gangster films from the time as well, so this is like a bit of a parody in some ways.
Yeah.
We'll mention those other ones as we go along as well.
And after the massacre, Spats kicks the toothpick from Toothpick Charlie's mouth, but George Raft was afraid that he would miss and kick the actor George E. Stone in the head. As a result of being too careful, he missed 10 times in a row. Wilder said he'd show Raft how to do it. Kicked Stone right in the head.
Yeah. Apparently they ended up having to use a nail because it was bigger and then paint it to look like a toothpick.
Right.
And then Raft got it in one take.
Great.
Toothpick Charlie, what a name that is.
Oh, that's great. His reaction just before he gets gunned down is really, really affecting. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like at the start when he's talking to the police officer and they say Charlie about 400 times in that conversation.
Yeah.
So that's our opening act. Bootleg Booze, a massacre to set the plot ticking and a soon-to-be band on the run. The lads need to get out of Chicago fast. Should we hop on the train?
All aboard.
Yep, it'll be a riot.
To escape Spats and the mob, Joe and Jerry grab the only gig leaving town, Sweet Sue and her Society Syncopators, an all-girl band bound for Florida. There's your band name.
Brilliant.
Great, yeah.
Yeah.
So now they're Josephine and Daphne on a night train. Here we meet the girls, the band leader, and their ukulele player and resident heartbreaker, Sugar Kane Kowalczyk. So Matt, try and goose it up a little.
Yeah.
How's the sleeper train?
Put some heat under it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this proper intro to Sugar Cane, I mean, we've seen it kind of walk up to the train, but this time when we properly made it, I mean, it's really pushing the boundaries in some senses of what's acceptable back then. It's got that leery, like, saxophone on the soundtrack, the flash of the leg, the illicit booze. Like, it could be too much if it wasn't for the fact that Marilyn Monroe is just so instantly radiant. It's like someone turns on a light bulb in a dark room and it's just, bam, there she is. You know, it's that cliched phrase, the camera loves her. And she's instantly funny. You know, I don't want you to think I'm a drinker. I can stop anytime I want to, only I don't want to.
Great.
That's so funny. That line about always getting the fuzzy end of the lollipop. Somehow, no matter how radiant she is, you do buy that. There is still that little hint of melancholy to her performance.
Yeah.
You can see, like, yeah, she would fall for the wrong guy constantly, and you get that. But then if you had any doubt about her star quality, you get that performance of Running Wild. I mean, that is just magnetism on screen.
It is.
Like, when she does that wink, you can just feel like everyone's heart just melt just watching her do that. I mean, Jerry doesn't even realise he's spun his bass around and he's not actually playing anything because he's that enraptured by her. He can't take his eyes off her. But that joke when Sue asked him where did the holes came from, mice, that's another great setup because that's what gives the game away when Spats sees him later on and he sees the evidence, the bullet holes in the bass, and it's something established all the way back here.
Yeah, I think the whole stretch on the train is just a bit of a joy.
Yeah.
The band are rocking right out.
They're
The energy's huge, and it's our first time with the guys as Josephine and Daphne. Before they're even aboard, Sugar's introduction at the station is great. Daphne and Josephine are like wobbling along the platform in the heels, and then Sugar seems to like emerge through a burst of steam from the train, some entrance, and Daphne's like, "Would you look at that?" But I love that just as an idea. It's like these two are amateurs, and Sugar's kind of the real deal.
Yeah.
But then Sugar starts singing Running Wild. That's like a proper intro. It's a great one. And I love as well Jerry playing along on the bass. He's like spinning it round, all fancy. And he's so transfixed with Sugar that he starts playing the back of it. That is just so funny.
That's great. Well, the band leader, Sweet Sue, she's played by Joan Shawley. Shawley had been cast in over 30 films before this, but this was her biggest role. And Wilder cast her again as Sylvia in The Apartment, Amazon Annie in Irma la Douche, and in her final film ever, Buddy. She became more well known a few years later for having a recurring role as Pickles in the Dick Van Dyke Show in the 60s.
She did, yeah. She had a huge career. She was in loads of stuff. I think she's great. Constantly yelling, Beanstalk, every 2 minutes. Beanstalk is worse than useless. Why is he there?
He's pointless.
He's
pointless.
crap.
Yeah.
What's his job?
He's the band manager, but he does nothing.
He's the manager.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, he was played by Dave Berry, who was a known comedian at the time. And yeah, surely the worst band manager ever. It's like Ian Faith in Spinal Tap.
Cricket, no cricket bat.
Terrible album covers.
So after this performance, the girls are all getting settled down for the night. That's when the real party starts. Or at least that's what Daphne thinks when Sugar comes a-knocking. This is what Jerry's been begging for since he caught sight of Sugar at the station. He was dribbling all the way through a performance, and now she's in bed with him. But how on earth does he think that he's going to get away with this? He's already been given his orders by Joe that he's a girl. I'm a girl. I'm a girl. And one false move and their worms meet. But the urge is obviously too great for him. I mean, I can understand it's Sugar Kane. And he's going to spill his beans to Sugar in the hope that she'll leap into his arms. Not run away in disgust, which is definitely what would happen.
Yeah, and call the police.
Yeah. So the drinks are flowing, but Jerry's plan is scuppered as soon as the other girls catch a whiff. There's salami, there's vermouth, there's cheese and crackers on the go, all sorts. And I don't know how on earth that there are that many women in one bunk. And that they haven't woken Joe up either. Not until they ask for some cherries. Jerry makes a feeble attempt to get rid of them by saying it's a private party. And I love it when he becomes all prudish when they suggest making Manhattans. Manhattans at this time of night? That didn't matter when you were sleazing all over Sugar with straight bourbon. And I think there are two great moments right at the end here. Firstly, Jerry getting attacked by the girls tickling. The fear is palpable that he's going to get found out here. That something's going to go twanging off.
Yeah.
And narratively, up till this point, Joe has been on the level. This is a matter of life and death. You're a girl, you're a girl. But one conversation outside the car with Sugar and he's completely beguiled by her charm and the tables turn before you know it. Meaning it's totally believable later down the line that Joe is after Sugar and Jerry winds up with Osgood for some reason.
Yeah.
How did that happen? And I'm not questioning that narrative decision one little bit.
Yeah.
Or because of this setup.
Yeah. This party's absolute chaos. Where's Beanstalk when all this is going on?
No.
Heavy sleeper.
Another great visual gag with Daphne when Josephine turns up with a bunk and it's just crammed full of women. And Josephine's like, Daphne, Daphne. And then Daphne's head just emerges from this sea of legs.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I love that, yeah.
The bit I like, though, was a scene where Sugar and Josephine are like away from the others talking. And Sugar spills all about her weakness for sax players and millionaires, and Josephine, Joe, just completely abuses that knowledge later on. Unbelievable.
Outrage.
But it's a bit of a strange scene because they're setting the grounds for the film's like big romance where one character thinks it is that and the other thinks it's innocent like girls talk. That's like classic Wilder and Diamond, always doing more with the screenplay than what it might seem like at the time, I think.
I think this whole sequence, it just fizzes with this comic energy. I mean, from that visual of Jerry hanging upside down to get the whiskey out of Joe's coat, leading to that conversation he has with Sugar, this could turn out to be a surprise party. Oh, what's the surprise? Not yet. When? And then that wonderful comic pause. Better have a drink first. Just like, how does he think that's going to play out? But yeah, it's then just like the visuals of all those heads popping out of the bunks when they hear there's a party. Everyone crammed into the bunk. He's furious, but he can't give away why. And I just love the look on Joe's face when he gets woken up to ask if he has any maraschino cherries. And he's just like, what on earth is going on up there? Like, he can't believe it. They're supposed to be keeping a low profile and chaos is just reigning above him. And like you, John, that visual of Jerry popping his head out amongst all the legs. It's not my fault, I didn't invite them. Like, it's one thing to make a scene funny. It's another thing entirely to keep the comic momentum just building and building. And this is one of the best examples you'll ever see.
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic stuff. Bit of a masterclass in this kind of scene, I think.
So this train sequence ends with Beanstalk appearing and saying, "Are we in Florida?" But it wasn't written like that originally. In the script, it ended with Josephine and Sugar agreeing to switch beds because Beanstalk, who sleeps under Sugar, makes weird noises while he sleeps. So she never gets any sleep. Of course he does. He does nothing but weird noises. So Daphne goes to Sugar's bed, telling her he's crazy about her and that he and Josephine are men, only to discover he spilled the beans to Josephine. That's really great writing.
It is, yeah. They cut that entirely. It does sound funny. Maybe it was a bit convoluted for what they had. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
Also, it would be a bit harsh if Jerry falls for Sugar and then Joe still just steams in with her anyway.
Yeah, I suppose so.
And that's the train getting to Florida. Our boys are out of Chicago in disguise and Josephine's already smitten with Sugar. The beginning's done. Time to talk about our director, surely.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
The director.
The director of Some Like It Hot was Hollywood legend Billy Wilder. This was his 40th feature credit, 24 of those as writer only and 16 as writer-director. And the highlights before this say it all really. Double Indemnity, Sunset Boulevard, Stalag 17, Sabrina. Not a bad CV to be turning up to a studio pitch with. We'll get into the writing later on, but for now, Matt, how do we rate Billy Wilder as the director on this one?
I think it's always tricky to talk about what a director brings to a comedy because so much of the effect of a comedy comes down to the performances, what jokes are on the page. And this isn't a comedy with big, elaborate set pieces full of slapstick and pratfalls. And this is definitely one where you can't really separate the direction from the writing because they're so intertwined. But I think what Wilder does, though, as director, is he understands there's three kinds of tension running through the film. There's the dramatic tension of Jerry and Joe being on the run for their lives. There's the comic tension of maintaining their disguise as women. And then there's the sexual tension of being trapped in this situation with a whole band of attractive women. In Wilder, it's like he's just conducting an orchestra with these tensions, playing them off one another, using them to complement the other from scene to scene. The sexual tension, it not only drives the plot, but it's also really funny to basically see just how horny Jerry and Joe are, but they can't do a thing about it in the situation. And not that you'd be able to do this back then, but if this story were different and Jerry and Joe were hinted at being gay, you would lose the sexual tension, and therefore you'd lose the comic tension, and the whole thing would just fall flat. And that's what Wilder does so well. From scene to scene, he knows exactly what tension to emphasise, which one to dial down. And even visually, he's pushing the boundaries of what he can get away with. When Osgood is sitting on Daphne in the hotel and they get in the lift, that visual of the floor indicator going up, it's so phallic, it's so risky.
It really is.
It's amazing that he got away with it, but this is the genius of Billy Wilder. He's a master storyteller and a master of tonal shifts.
Yeah, he is. I mean, for me, the thing that makes Wilder's work most impressive here is the tone, because Something Like It Hot on paper, like you say, man, it maybe shouldn't work. The screwball farce, gangster thriller, and the romance all kind of smashed together. Bookended by two mass shooting kill sprees with guys in dresses played for laughs. I mean, in the wrong hands, that could become a shambles, and tonally all over the place. But not Wilder, because he manages to keep all the different plates like spinning for the whole 2 hours. He knows when to be screwball, he knows when to be more dramatic or graphic even. He knows when to let Marilyn stop the film dead in its tracks with a musical number or something like that. And what I always find interesting about Wilder as a director is how invisible he is. Like the flair and the brilliance, if you like, tends to come in the writing, and then he directs with no ego at all. He just let the script and the cast do it. The camera nearly always serves the performance or the joke. He's more interested in letting the words on the page shine than anything else, I think. And the other thing is that he's got this timeless film out of a shoot that was, by all accounts, a bit of a nightmare. I mean, we'll get into why that was as we go, but Wilder's discipline and not panicking was keeping the production on its wheels at certain points, but we never once see that stress or strain in the film. I mean, far from it. It's a joy, start to finish. So it's just so well constructed. The pace never sags. There's loads of setups with payoffs, and he builds the whole thing towards one of the most famous final scenes ever. I mean, for my money, this is probably one of the most purely entertaining films I've seen, and Wilder makes it look kind of effortless, which obviously it's not. So, yeah, pretty brilliant director work on this one, I think.
Yeah, I said 2 hours at the top, and it really does fly by. And the nerve of this man, who wasn't really a spring chicken either. He'd been around the block a few thousand times as well. But he's pushing the boundaries about what he's putting up on screen. With Marilyn, pushing the boundaries with sex, pushing the boundaries with the two leads in women's clothing, which just didn't happen at the time. But what gets me about Wilder is just the control that he has. He's staging comedy like it's choreography. Like the moment when the girls are shimmying down the side of the hotel to make their exit, right at the end. It's a complete farce, but it's built like a huge set piece. Everyone's in the right place, everyone timed to the inch, and the joke lands because the geometry lands. It's not just a lucky take. That's a director who knows exactly where the funny is before he's turning on the camera.
Yeah.
Beat after beat, mark after mark. But I think it's really easy to lose sight of also the dramatic scenes in the film, because the majority of them are playing with a comedic tone and you sort of stop noticing them. That opening police chase is a real action sequence.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Cars slamming into each other, the cop car pulling a 180 in the road and the cop are jumping out,
Yeah.
immediately opening fire. I mean, the footage is sped up, of course, but it's all in shot. He's not cheating. There's no cutting away to hide any joins because it's all there. It's all in one shot. It's great. It's unbelievable filmmaking for a comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
For the time as well. And that's the thing that runs through the whole film for me. The visual storytelling is so strong because it's all in the frame. Wilder doesn't lean on like loads of cuts to tell you what's happening. He puts it all in the shot and just trusts that you'll keep up. Blocking, foreground, background, it's all working all at once. Which when you think about it, it's a lot of faith to place in an audience watching two men in a dress in a farce.
Yeah.
But and his work goes unnoticed, I think.
Yeah, I think he's himself as a writer, first and foremost. I think he always did.
Yeah. So in 1957, three producer brothers, Walter, Harold and Marvin Mirisch, set up a new production company called the Mirisch Company with the idea of making prestige films with big-name actors and directors and then partnering with major studios for distribution. They signed a 12-film deal with United Artists, and when Billy Wilder heard what they were doing, he pitched the idea of Some Like It Hot to them and they agreed to produce it with a budget of $2.8 million.
Yeah, so Wilder and Mirisch, they'd worked together on Wilder's rom-com Live in the Afternoon in 1957. And the Mirisch Company, they went on to become really influential because they pitched themselves as like an indie mini major studio and kind of became a model for the sort of independent studios that you still see around today.
So once the deal was signed, production took place in late 1958. The Florida exteriors were filmed on location around the Hotel del Coronado in San Diego, but everything else was shot in Samuel Goldwyn Studios in West Hollywood. Ted Howarth was the art director, and sets had to be created for Mozzarella's funeral parlour, the talent agency offices, the train interiors, and also the Florida hotel interiors.
Yeah, the production design's great.
Amazing.
I mean, you have to recreate some train interiors though, don't you? Because the real thing's nowhere near big enough to accommodate the crew and the equipment all the time.
Yeah.
And the train scenes, I mean, there's not too much to work with, but we see variation in the way those scenes are shot as well, so it never becomes like stale or boring to look at any point, I don't think.
Not at all.
And as well as the sets, some of the train interiors were filmed on a real Pullman sleeper train called the Clover Colony, and that's now on display in the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum. And the hotel interiors, they were based on the interiors of the Hotel del Coronado. That is still there and running, and they trade on the Some Like It Hot connection in their marketing.
Yeah, they have Some Like It Hot tours and all sorts. Sounds a great place to visit.
Oh, it'd be amazing.
It would be, yeah. And you can see the train at the museum, like you're saying as well, so it's all kind of still there in some form.
Great.
Brilliant.
So,
Yeah.
let's get in there. All the right movies Christmas do.
Yeah. Well,
Let's do it, yeah.
live broadcast.
Yeah. From the beach. For his work on Some Like It Hot, Billy Wilder was nominated for Best Director at the Oscars, though the film wasn't nominated for Best Picture. Any ideas on winners that year? Same film for both.
Ooh.
The Greatest Show on Earth, something like that.
It was Ben-Hur Best Picture,
Right.
and its director, William Wyler, won out too.
Yeah.
Total Oscar fodder that,
Of
wasn't
course
it?
it is. Absolute bait.
Yeah.
But for Wilder here, I think we agree, some brilliant, effortless-looking direction that created one of Hollywood's great comedies.
Well, one of the very best.
Yeah, some of his best work.
The cast.
Billy Wilder was wrangling all the chaos behind the camera, but in front of it he had a pretty legendary ensemble cast. We're going to be getting into our big three. That's Jack Lemmon as Jerry, or Daphne with the wig on, and Marilyn Monroe as Sugar Kane. But we're starting with the fella doing three jobs at once, aren't we?
Yeah.
So Tony Curtis plays Joe, and Josephine, and Junior, Triple J.
Yep.
A smooth-talking saxophone player and full-time schemer, Joe becomes Josephine, goes on the run from the mob, then invents a Shell Oil Air Cold Jr. to woo Sugar before coming clean. 3 roles, 1 actor, and a Cary Grant impression chucked in for free, Matt. So how's Tony Curtis in Some Like It Hot?
I think he's so pivotal because out of the two leads, he's definitely the more stereotypical leading man. He's got those good looks. He's played tough guys in the likes of the Defiant Ones before this. The music agency scene, that establishes he's a bit of a player. It's therefore so fundamentally funny to see him dressed up as a woman. and having to embrace his feminine side in a way that's quite different to see Jack Lemmon doing it, which we'll talk about. But what's wonderful is that there's no hint whatsoever that he's uncomfortable doing this. Like, he throws himself into this role, and not for 1 second is there any, like, winking at the audience, as if to say, oh, don't worry, it's still me, I'm still Tony Curtis, you know, not really a woman. And I actually think he's got the most underrated performance in the film. I think probably because of the two, Jack Lemmon, in all fairness, he's the more critically acclaimed actor when you look at their whole career.
Of course.
But as brilliant as Lemmon is, I think Curtis has the meatier role because, as you're saying, John, he's got 3 roles here, Joe, Josephine and Junior. And then to nail that Cary Grant accent, I mean, even today, if you didn't know who Cary Grant was, it's still funny because of how different it is to Joe. I mean, and I can't imagine how funny that would be to an audience back then. That would have been hysterical. And of the two, it's Curtis who has the dramatic elements to land. You know, his relationship with Sugar moves from just like sex comedy to genuine emotional connection. Whereas Lemmon, he's just got the comic beats with Osgood. So that's all on Curtis, and he nails every element. It has to be his career highlight when you're talking about Tony Curtis.
Yes, today it certainly is, I think, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure you can say any of the 3 leads get overlooked because they're all big A-listers at the time. Yeah. I think Tony Curtis might be the one doing the most thankless job of the big 3 in there. Because he's playing 3 different people, first of all. Joe, the chancer, Josephine, the more demure one of her and Daphne, and then Junior, a millionaire. And what he does well is that they're all recognisably the same character underneath while still being separate somehow. I do mostly buy that Sugar wouldn't see through the act, or at least I'm willing to buy it anyway. At the time, I mean, Tony Curtis, yeah, you're right, man, he was a full movie star, not a comedy guy. He was a proper leading man. He starred alongside Kirk Douglas the year before this in The Vikings. So this couldn't be more different, which is impressive. But I think what he does well is that he kind of knows his place, because he doesn't even try and compete with Jack Lemmon at the comedy stuff, really. He knows he can't. So
not worth it.
Yeah. So he's much more restrained, as Joe and Josephine kind of giving Lemmon the room to go off the chain at times, which he obviously relishes. So Curtis is kind of the straight man of the pair, basically.
Yes.
He is still funny, though. I like it on the beach when he's Junior and he threatens to slap that kid. He's like, get out of here, you.
That's amazing.
So a pretty selfless performance, and you believe he's a sax player on the run, you believe that he's a woman, kind of, and you believe that Sugar would buy him as Shell Oil royalty, and he brings that movie star charm that he just kind of has. So, yeah, I think he's brilliant.
Yeah, I think just like good sports, him and Jack Lemmon, first and foremost, just to dive into it with absolute bluster, not winking at the camera. They're fully committed to the role and what it takes, which I really, really like. And you 2 fellas have been saying it, but 3 different roles, all distinct, different postures, different voices, different rhythms for all 3 characters. And I don't think he ever lets one leak into the other unless the joke needs it to.
Yeah.
I think what's clever is where he puts the comedy. In the double act with Lemmon, he plays it dead straight. He's the exasperated one, the one holding the con together, and then he lets Jerry gets the laughs. And, you know, a good sport again. Yeah. But then he becomes Junior, and then he's off. There's something a little bit kind of Frank Spencer-ish about him in the scenes on the yacht.
Betty
doing whoopsies left, right and centre, I imagine.
On roller skates.
Yeah, just needs a beret.
It's great. It's a lovely bit of misdirection as well, because you don't expect the straight man to be suddenly the funniest person in the room. But he's really, really funny. And like I said earlier, I believe the character. He's turned a corner because his life is genuinely on the line, but he can't shake his old ways. The second Sugar walks past, his head's turned, and the survival instinct goes straight out of the window. And I think that's a tricky thing to play, someone who's learned nothing and everything at the same time. And I think Curtis pulls it off without making Joe unlikable, because he is a bit of a prick.
Yeah.
And also, final note, obviously it's Curtis. He's a great-looking SOB. He's genuinely not a bad-looking Josephine, to be quite honest.
Handsome devil, isn't he? Handsome devil.
But in casting the leads, UA wanted a known comedy team in the roles, and initially floated the idea to Wilder of casting Bob Hope and Danny Kaye as Josephine and Daphne, though Wilder wanted something less conventional.
Yeah, Danny Kaye, presumably because of White Christmas, because he and Bing Crosby do a kind of cross-dressing routine in that.
Yeah, the sisters' routine, yeah.
So I guess that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of Wilder's first choices to play Josephine was Anthony Perkins, and he was reportedly offered the role. Perkins was under contract to Paramount at the time, though, and they wouldn't allow him to take it. They thought Perkins had a sexually ambiguous image already, and to have him spend most of the film dressed in women's clothes would undermine the image they wanted him to have as a teen idol.
So instead, the cast him as Norman Bates the next year.
Yeah.
That's surely worse.
Right, yeah.
Who dresses in his mother's clothes.
Yeah. And in later years, Wilder said that Tony Curtis was always his first choice after seeing him in Houdini, the 1953 biopic. He said, I was sure Tony was right for it. He was handsome, and when he tells Marilyn Monroe that he is one of the Shell Oil Company, she has to believe it.
Houdini, the first film Curtis made with Janet Leigh, has a couple of that.
Ah, great.
And he got a pretty great deal here. A reported $2 million salary plus 5% of the film's gross.
Nice.
But yeah, all worked out all right with Curtis, I think.
Worth it.
Yeah.
And Curtis had never played a man in woman's clothes before, and he said he developed the character in response to Jack Lemmon. He said the first day of filming, Josephine and Daphne, they were in the dressing room, and he was nervous about leaving, but Lemmon ran out of the dressing room screaming like the Queen of May. Curtis knew that they both couldn't do that, so he did the opposite, which is why Josephine is more straight up and down and always holds her head high when she walks.
Yeah, Curtis said that Lemmon was 20% taut, in his words, as Daphne.
Wow.
And he said that he took inspiration from his own mother and Grace Kelly when he created Josephine.
Oh, lovely.
I think Josephine is more like stereotypically ladylike of the pair, I guess.
I think so, yeah.
Lemon's loving it. He can't get enough.
He's all over the place.
But Wilder wasn't happy with Curtis's falsetto voice as Josephine, as he struggled to hold it for a full take if the scene was too long. So after filming, Wilder hired a voice artist called Paul Frees to re-record all of Josephine's dialogue, and what we hear in the final film is the two actors' voices blended together in the sound mix.
That's great.
Yeah, you can't tell,
can't.
I don't think.
Cannot tell at all.
Yeah.
It always sounds like Curtis.
Yeah, the man of 1,000 voices. That's what Paul Frees was known as. So he did stuff for Disney, Looney Tunes, all sorts. He's in the film as well. He plays the funeral director in the first act of Mozzarella's.
Wow.
Ah, great.
For his triple shift as Joe, Josephine and Junior, Tony Curtis got nothing from the Academy, which not too much of a surprise, I don't think.
No.
Shame, though.
It is a shame. For us, though, a generous 3-in-1 performance and an underrated comic turn from Tony Curtis.
Really underrated, I think, yeah.
Very much.
The second of our leads is Jack Lemmon as Jerry and Daphne. A bass player even more broke than Joe, Jerry witnesses the massacre, flees to Florida in a dress, gets swept off his feet by a millionaire, and somehow ends the film engaged, maracas in hand. He might be the happiest man and woman in Florida, Luke. So, how's Jack Lemmon, Jerry and Daphne?
Why wouldn't he be the happiest man or woman in Florida?
Exactly.
Osgood. For me, it's the physical comedy that really shines through with Lemmon. The dancing, the way he twirls that bass around like it weighs nothing, him clumping around in high heels like a newborn lamb. It's brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
Classic Lemmon, one of the great subtle screen comics doing kind of anything but subtle, and he's still finding the precise angle of every single movement. Now, I'm going to be honest here, and I know this is heresy, but Daphne does become a little bit tiresome at points for me.
Right.
Because it's so relentlessly over the top that her reactions start to blur into one another. And that constant kind of like breathy fake laugh can wear thin by the second hour. I mean, I'm wincing as I'm saying it here because I know that I'm going to get lynched for saying these kind of things because it's Jack Lemmon.
Yeah.
But when he's in motion, he's untouchable. When he's just doing that voice, I do occasionally find myself waiting for Curtis to come back in. And contrary to what I said about Curtis in drag, it's a completely different proposition with Daphne. Jerry tells Polyakov that they could pass for under 25. Lemmon can't pass for under 55 once he's all dolled up. He looks like somebody's aunt who's been at the sherry all day. Which does add a kind of farcical element to the whole thing. I mean, the film needs one of them to be plausible and one of them to be outrageous, and Lemmon would always be the outrageous one.
Yeah.
Which does bring me to the ending when he reveals that he's a man. Firstly, I'm convinced that Osgood knew all along. Look at his face. But watch Lemmon in that moment. After 2 hours of shrieking at full volume, he plays the reveal almost gently. He spent the entire film at 11 and saved his quietest, best bit of acting for that last 30 seconds. I think it's, just magnificent. Aside from my slight issue, it is a comedic masterclass from Lemmon.
Yeah, I mean, it's an ensemble between the three of them, but they all have their own roles, like their own cogs in the machine. And Jack Lemmon's is being the main engine of the comedy, I think, because where Curtis is doing that careful, more controlled thing, like we said, Lemmon throws himself into playing Daphne with, like, total abandon.
Yeah.
That Queen of the May thing Curtis said isn't a surprise, because we see it on the screen. I mean, he brings no ego. He's not bothered what people might think. I mean, this was 1959, when we should remember.
Yeah.
But Lemmon's there to serve Wilder in the story, in the film, and he gives one of the great comic performances I think I've seen anyway. Those cackles he does as Daphne, they crack me up, to be honest, every time. I love them, yeah. That bit when the girls are throwing the beach ball about and he comes prancing up the beach with Sugar, shrieking. Hilarious. And one of the best line deliveries ever on the beach that I'm sure we'll mention. Bring your yacht to Junior. That is sensational.
Yeah.
And what's great about the performance, I think, and the character, is that unlike Joe, Jerry doesn't just, like, tolerate being Daphne. He kind of gets seduced by it.
Yeah.
He seems to, like, forget who he is, like Donnie Brasco. Yeah. So by the time he's agreeing to marry Osgood, he just can kind of go along with it. It's fine. But Lemmon is one of Hollywood's great comic actors. He's one of its great actors, full stop, for me.
I agree.
And his understanding of the comic beats and scenes is far beyond Curtis. I think you can kind of see it.
Yeah.
Like towards the end in their room when Daphne's shaking a maracas every 20 seconds. It's great, but apparently Lemmon added that to himself because he knew the audience would need time to breathe between the laughs so they could keep up. And Wilder said when they did screenings, he was exactly right. So a bit of a master at what he did, Jack Lemmon, working with another master in Billy Wilder. And the result is like one of the most perfect comedies Hollywood ever made. I mean, that's Some Like It Hot, and Lemmon is totally integral to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's so playful, he's so funny. When he comes back from his date with Osgood and he's still fizzing over with excitement at getting engaged and he's still doing the tango. It's such a physically hilarious performance, like you've been saying, John, because he knows it has to be. And gives it the space. And as you've been saying, the key thing is the difference between them is Jerry really embraces this feminine side and gets really into it. Like, he makes it so believable. He would come back from that date thinking, yes, I think we will get married, actually. We are talking about the honeymoon. And then if you contrast that earlier in the train party where he's being driven up the wall because Sugar's in bed with him and he can't do a thing about it. And he goes from, I'm a girl, I wish I were dead, to this scene, I'm a boy, I wish I were dead. There's just no, like, false note in that journey. It's completely believable. And I think it is quite a daring performance for back then because, like Curtis, he's not winking at the camera. He's going, I have to dress up like a woman, and actually it's really liberating. It's really brought something out of me. There's definitely a part of Jerry that's really enjoying this alter ego, and Lemmon is just an absolute comic delight in bringing that out.
He absolutely is. I think Curtis is like holds the scenes together, and Lemmon kind of sets them on fire, comedy-wise, at least anyway.
Yeah.
It's a great double act. I think it's really good.
Oh, it is. It's a fantastic double act.
But before Jack Lemmon was cast, there were other big names Wilder considered to play Daphne. Wilder wanted a big name in the part and actually approached Frank Sinatra. They agreed to meet over lunch, but Sinatra didn't turn up, and some sources say that between the meeting being set up and the date, Sinatra found out that the role would involve him dressing in women's clothes.
No chance for Sinatra doing this, surely, was there?
That won't do for all blue eyes, would it?
No,
no.
Definitely not.
But yeah, Anthony Perkins said that when he was approached to play Josephine, it was pitched to him as being alongside Frank Sinatra.
Wow.
So it could have been very different, this.
That'd be very different.
Yeah, all Blue Eyes and Bates together at last.
And the next person approached was Jerry Lewis, who was famous for a double act of his own with Dean Martin. And he and his wife were best friends with Tony Curtis and Janet Leigh at the time, which is maybe why Wilder thought it would work. Lewis also wasn't keen on the idea of dressing up in women's clothes and said no, but later said he regretted turning it down.
Yeah, massive at the time in the US, wasn't he, Jerry Lewis?
Oh, yeah, he was huge, yeah.
But he also said that Jack Lemmon sent him chocolates around the Oscars every year after the film came out for decades to say thanks for turning it down.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Ferrero Rocher, I imagine, from Lemmon.
Yeah.
Classy guy.
No expense spared.
To coach Curtis and Lemmon, Wilder hired a female impersonator called Vanda Clyde Broadway. Great name. He was famous for performing on stage as a female character called Barbette and gave them lessons in how to move and walk like a woman. Lemmon resisted, though, saying he didn't want to walk like a woman. He wanted to play Daphne as a man trying to walk like a woman, which he pulls off amazingly well.
He does. That's the right thing as well, surely, I think.
Yeah.
That's where the comedy's from.
Yeah. But yeah, Vanda Clyde Broadway, that is a great name. He'd been big in the 1920s and 30s performing in Europe. He was a female impersonator / trapeze artist. Quite the niche.
Right. Wow. Had that market cornered. Yep.
Ticking a lot of boxes.
And once Curtis and Lemmon had the characters nailed down in terms of how they looked and acted, Wilder wanted to test it out before filming, so he sent them, dressed and acting as Josephine and Daphne, into the ladies' restroom on the studio lot and said they had to touch up their makeup in front of other women. They came out and said nobody gave them a second look, but Curtis said that was because they were too ugly to look at. They had more makeup added and tried it again, but were spotted immediately, so went back to the first look, which is how they appear in the film.
Yeah, Lemmon said that before they went in the first time, he was terrified and he was sweating buckets. But I wonder if that's why we get that scene on the train where Josephine and Daphne are touching up their makeup in the mirror together, because it sounds a bit like that test,
yeah, it does,
maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
For his performance as Jerry and Daphne, Jack Lemmon landed a Best Actor nomination at the Oscars, the film's only acting nod.
Right.
He lost out to Charlton Heston as Ben-Hur.
Yeah.
Absolutely no chance Lemmon's beating that in 1960.
No way.
No. Yeah.
But for us, an all-time great comic performance and one of the most beloved things Jack Lemmon ever did.
Yeah.
One of the best.
The final cast member we're getting into in detail is Marilyn Monroe as Sugar Kane Kowalczyk. Sweet Sue's ukulele player and singer, Sugar has sacked off saxophone players and set her sights on landing a millionaire, only to get her heart broken and end up on a speedboat with a sax player after all. Yeah. Always gets the fuzzy end of the lollipop, Matt. Mm-hmm. And so does Sugar. So, how's Marilyn Monroe as Sugar Kane?
I mean, this is obviously our first time talking about Marilyn, and it's worth remembering because of like how tragic her life turned out. It says so much about her. She's still remembered as such an icon when being truthful. She didn't leave a huge filmography behind her, and not many of them are all that good, and this is certainly by far the best film she ever made. Mm-hmm. But she is still iconic. And I don't think it's necessarily a lot to do with, or I don't think it's all to do with the looks, because looks fade and become less important in people's memories. And Marilyn Monroe had a lot more to her than just the way she looked. And all of that is on display here, because yes, it's the sex appeal. Yes, it's the fact that she practically makes Joe and Jerry's eyes pop out when they see her. But there was such, no pun intended, a sweetness to this performance as well. There's a vulnerability to Sugar. You implicitly by that, you can look at her, look at the way she looks and still think, yeah, she would totally be unlucky in love. You totally buy that. She brings a lot of subtle pathos to the role that maybe isn't there in the script. But as well as that, it's just the sheer star quality that she has. The kind of star quality that you can't teach people. You either have it or you don't. Marilyn Monroe had it. And this is, without question, one of the best vehicles for reminding yourself just why she is still talked about today.
Definitely. I mean, whatever you've heard about how hard this was to get on film, and we're about to hear plenty, the fact is that what ended up on the screen from Marilyn is one of the most magnetic performances I think you could ever see. Her presence on the screen is humongous. She lights up every frame she's in. Yeah. This is one of the great movie stars, kind of at the top of her game. I mean, we talk about bringing star quality on here quite a bit, and it's this kind of thing that we're talking about.
Yeah.
But I mean, the character's there as well. With Sugar, there's vulnerability underneath the glamour, like you're saying, Matt. It would be so easy to just be the bombshell.
Yeah.
But Marilyn does find like sadness and melancholy in there. In terms of the drama, she kind of gives the film its heart, for me. And that makes the comedy jump off the screen even more. It works because we care about the characters. And especially Sugar, not the other two sleazebags, obviously. But then you've got the songs as well. Marilyn singing I Want to Be Loved by You is one of the most famous images of 50s Hollywood. And I'm Through with Love near the end. That's where she brings that kind of sadness. I mean, she's not the world's greatest singer technically by any means. But again, that star quality kind of does the work for her, I think. And Jack Lemmon, he said that Marilyn brought more of herself to the screen than anyone he ever worked with. Wow. And I think that's what, beneath all the screen charisma, makes Sugar relatable. I mean, yeah, the people she worked with had a complaint or five about working with her. We'll get into that.
One or two.
Yeah. But on screen, she's magic. And this film just wouldn't be the same without her.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about something bigger than cinema here, aren't we? Haven't watched this quite a number of times recently. There's just such an aura surrounding Marilyn as soon as she hits the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The performance, I don't think it has the iconography of Gentlemen Prefer Blondes or The 7-Year Itch. But I think it's certainly the best film that she's ever been in. Maybe not her best role,
yeah.
But because I think Wilder does the smart job of not making it all about Monroe.
Yeah.
When she's on screen, she steals everyone's limelight. The writing takes a real shortcut as well to give us Sugar's backstory and her failed relationships. She's unlucky in love and she's not too smart. And Monroe really sells that for the character. We easily believe that.
Yeah.
Because there's I think you two fellas have said there's a vulnerability there.
Yeah.
There is a thing that's always bothered me about this film, and it's not Marilyn's fault at all. It's the original poster. If you can picture it in your mind's eye, she's towering over Lemmon and Curtis, cradling them while pulling off like this exaggerated wink.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen the size of her? She's 10 times bigger than the two fellas. She's like Mrs. Pac-Man, just about to devour them.
The 50-foot woman.
She's ginormous. It's always.
I don't think she's that big in real life. No. I don't think so.
Or maybe Lemmon and Curtis are just tiny fellas. I think for the greatest screen siren ever, it's a little unflattering. And on the poster it says Marilyn Monroe and her bosom companions Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon. Don't say that. That's a terrible pun.
Yeah. It shows how big she was, because Tony Curtis was massive, and he's very much relegated to the second fiddle when he's alongside her.
Yeah, she gets the limelight. But her performance is full of magnetism, none more so than in the musical numbers. It may be clear that she's miming, but that doesn't matter because the audience are just putty in her hands. She's incredible.
Wilder, though, originally had another name in mind to play Sugar. He wanted to cast musical actress Mitzi Gaynor, who had just played the lead in South Pacific, but said once we got word that Marilyn wanted the part, it had to be Marilyn, and Monroe was cast with a reported $100,000 salary plus 10% of gross profits.
Of course, it had to be her.
Yeah.
The studio must have been really keen too, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
They worked together in the 7-Year Itch, Wilder and Monroe, hadn't they?
That's right, yeah.
Got one of the most iconic Hollywood images ever of Marilyn over the subway grate.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
It is pretty well documented, though, that there were some on-set issues as well during filming.
Oh, yes, very much. Yeah, starting with Billy Wilder, he later said he found directing Monroe difficult, for lack of a better word. He said that she would regularly turn up hours late for filming, almost always the same excuse. She got lost on her way to the studio.
Every time. Sorry you got lost. Just get her a map, surely.
Yeah.
But from the 7-Year Itch, Wilder said that he knew what he was getting into, but he knew what the end result on the screen would be as well. So, bit of a trade-off by the sounds of it.
Yeah, that's not the only thing, though. There were issues with Monroe nailing her lines as well. Filming the scene where Sugar comes into Josephine and Daphne's hotel room looking for alcohol, it took 80 takes to get it right, as she kept on fluffing the line, "Where's that bourbon?" I mean, I've just done it there. I mean, not as good as Marilyn, obviously, but I've done it. She would say, "Where's the whiskey? Where's the bottle? Or where's the bonbon?"
Well, she looks for it in the chest of drawers, doesn't she?
Yeah.
So Wilder had a bit of paper on the drawer saying, "Where's the bourbon?" And then Marilyn opened a different drawer when the shot is. So Wilder had a note put into every single drawer in the room saying, "Where's the bourbon?"
Wow. Another line that caused problems was when Sugar knocks on Josephine and Daphne's hotel room door and says, "It's me, Sugar." That apparently took 47 takes to get right. Lemmon and Curtis both said that this was infuriating because they had to be perfect on every single take because they knew that Wilder would just be going with the one that Marilyn was best in.
Yeah, like, "Sugar, it's me, Sugar. Oh, it's Sugar, me." All the variations were in there, apparently. She must have been taking the piss, surely.
3 words.
Yeah, exactly. And Monroe had Paula Strasberg, the famous acting coach, on set to help her. Okay. And apparently there were regular fallouts and rows with Strasberg and Marilyn versus Wilder, which sounds like hell.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so because of this, after the film came out, Wilder threw a wrap party at his home, but Monroe wasn't invited. And he also said in press interviews that she cost the film 18 shooting days and hundreds of thousands of dollars in production budget. He said he was so stressed during filming that he had to take sleeping pills every night. And when asked if he would do another project with her, he said, "My doctor and psychiatrist tell me that I am too old and too rich to go through this again."
Yeah, he also said that she had a brain like Swiss cheese, which is charming.
Yeah. What do you mean, hard?
Yeah, must be, yeah. And she was crushed at not being invited to the party, apparently. So, after reading some of the things that Wilder wrote about her, Marilyn apparently called Wilder's home and spoke to his wife, Audrey Young, and she said, "Please, can you give your husband a message for me? Tell him to go fuck himself."
The costume designer on the film was Ori Kelly, the professional name of Ori George Kelly. He won an Oscar for the film and measured all 3 stars for their dresses. When he was measuring Monroe, he said, "Tony Curtis has a nicer butt than you." So she opened her blouse and said, "Yeah, but he doesn't have tits like these." Well, that's true enough.
Knew what she had. Yeah, Ori Kelly had problems with Marilyn as well, apparently. He said, "I would rather open up a hot dog stand than dress that woman again." I mean, maybe don't say outrageous things to her about her backside then.
Yeah. Not a great opener, is it?
No.
And Monroe was pregnant during filming, and her husband, Arthur Miller, asked Wilder if they could reduce her working days, which didn't go down well. Sadly, she had a miscarriage in December 1958, 1 month after production wrapped. And this means that lots of the promotional artwork from the time is Monroe's head superimposed on top of 2 body doubles, Sandra Warner and Evelyn Moriarty.
That's right, yeah. She's one of the band, Sandra Warner as well. She's the one who goes toodaloo to Daphne on the train.
Ah, yes.
And Daphne's saying goodnight to everyone.
Yeah, yes.
That's really funny as well. But yeah, some awful stuff for Marilyn. And they all knew she was pregnant during filming as well, so there's 2 sides to every story, maybe.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, before we move on from Marilyn, we've got our first Patreon question of the episode. So one of the perks of becoming an ATRM Patreon is that we'll answer your questions on the show, and this one is about Marilyn Monroe. So Mark Peters is here.
Hello, Mark.
Hello, Mark.
And he asks, in your views, has anyone, male, female or other in movies, come close, matched or even exceeded the Monroe sex appeal factor? Good question from Mark. She is an icon. And what do you think, Luke? Who's sexy?
Oof, who isn't? I mean, it's in the eye of the beholder, really, Mark. I mean, I've got personal preferences over Marilyn with the likes of, but, they're very niche with the likes of, Jenny Agutter or Julie Christie or Michelle Pfeiffer, for example.
Yeah.
All red hot. But I think that Marilyn blazed a trail for what it meant to have sex appeal in Hollywood. And she traded on that, of course. But in the background, she was always aware of that image and didn't want it to define her. She was forever taking acting classes to improve, even when she was at the height of her popularity. So yeah, sex appeal a million miles long, but that doesn't really tell the story of Marilyn because she was talented. She obviously wasn't Katharine Hepburn or anything like that, but she had really good comic timing and unprecedented screen presence. I think she's probably the biggest screen icon there has ever been.
I think so. Yeah.
But yes, she looks incredible in every scene in this film, and that musical number on the train, Running Wild, my eyes are popping out of my head.
Yeah, brilliant.
Lordy, lordy.
Yeah, I think loads of people have had that magnetic, can't look away screen quality, but almost no one's had it in quite the same way Monroe did.
No, I don't
because
think
with
so.
her, it was never just the glamour. Like we say, it was glamour plus vulnerability plus comedy, kind of all at once, and that mix is pretty rare. I mean, you can reel off other names. Rita Hayworth was massive 10 years before Marilyn, plenty since. And Hayworth was all like sizzling screen heat. But the thing that made Monroe like Monroe was that people wanted to look after her as much as anything else. That's a bit of a different thing to bottle, and it made her more unique, I think. And I think she is, still possibly the most iconic actor or actress ever. She's up there with Elvis, I think, in terms of huge cultural figures of the 20th century.
Yeah.
And where do you land on it, Matt? Anyone come close for you?
I mean, I think the reason her sex appeal still stands out so much is it goes back again. It's because of how sadly young she was when she died, still in her 30s. So in our eyes, she's always going to be that young, because you can bring up other actresses of that era, Sophia Loren, Ingrid Bergman, incredibly beautiful, but they both had long lives and we watched them grow old as we all do. We never did that with Marilyn Monroe. She'll always be Sugar Cane. She'll always be the 7-year itch. So in terms of anyone else, for a kind of similar reason, I'd mentioned Grace Kelly, because the thing about Grace Kelly is she retired from acting very young to become Princess of Monaco. Her career actually only lasted 5 years, which is incredible considering how much we still talk about her and how much of an icon she is.
I think she was 24, 25 when she retired, something like that, which is crazy.
Yeah, astonishing. So, and then from the male side, for very similar reason, I'd say James Dean. The charisma, the good looks, sex appeal, and again, very sad, very untimely early death, which means he is forever that guy from Rebel Without a Cause.
Yeah.
He absolutely is. For maybe the most iconic performance in the film, Marilyn Monroe received no recognition at the Oscars. For us, though, the beating heart of Some Like It Hot, and proof that whatever she cost them in time, money and sleep, it was worth every penny.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's our 3 leads, Tony Curtis, Jack Lemmon and Marilyn Monroe. We've already crossed paths with George Rafter's Spats, and we've got a bit more to say about A Certain Millionaire soon, but our central 3, about as good a comic trio as has been put on screen, maybe?
They're fantastic together.
Oh, without doubt.
The middle.
Into the middle of Some Like It Hot, and the band have made it to sunny Florida. We'll be getting out to that yacht where Joe runs his most outrageous con yet, and to Daphne's whirlwind romance with a doting millionaire. But first, it's hello to Florida and a certain oil magnate.
Yes.
So the band check into the Seminole Ritz, where Daphne's immediately pursued by much-married millionaire Osgood Fielding III. Meanwhile, on the beach, Joe rolls out a second disguise as Junior, a Shell Oil heir purpose-built to reel in our sugar. It's all kicking off on that beach, Matt.
Yeah.
How do you find it all?
I mean, as soon as Joe comes strutting up to that beach chair and he whacks that kid over the head with the paper, and then you get that accent, "You heard your mother, Junior, now scram." I just lose it every time. That accent is perfect. Cheerio, you're spoiling my view. And seeing Kurt...
That's not bad, Matt, either.
Oh, thank
That's
you.
really good.
That's one of your better efforts.
Thank you. I really put effort into this one. It's seeing Curtis in that like sailor get up, the business with the paper, constantly upside down. His comic timing, considering we're talking a lot about Jack Lemmon's comic timing, it's so on point in this scene. You can see the wheels spinning in his head. Like, where is he going to take this with Sugar? He's maybe not thought this through brilliantly. And it's so clearly not planned by him when he just picks up that bucket of shells because he has this flash of inspiration and the whole turn up. That's why we named the L Company after it.
Yeah.
And then
there's a shell just there, which is exactly the same as the logo for Shell Oil.
Yeah.
Coincidence.
And then Jerry, who we've seen having the time of his life on the beach playing volleyball. I mean, he's just full of the joys of life. He's like a hyperactive puppy, just springing around. And it's then Lemmon's comic timing when he realises what's going on because he comes to get sugar and he just pauses in the sand like mid-hop. And then you've got that back and forth between Jerry and Joe because, you know, he's realised who he is. You know, he talks about, you know, he got to pick the right roommate. Yes, she squealed on her roommate, was strangled with her own brassiere. And then it's that bit we've been saying where, you know, he's going to come see the band. Yes, do come and bring your yacht. Really gets in his face about it. This whole scene, comic brilliance.
It is, yeah. I mean, the whole Junior, like, con, for me, I think it's a really clever bit of plotting because Joe doesn't just pretend to be rich. He invents a millionaire who's so, like, emotionally stunted that he can't feel anything when he's kissed and then just sits back and lets Sugar try and fix him. So it kind of flips the usual sort of chase you get in Hollywood films, certainly then, because Sugar thinks she's the one doing the seducing when she's the one being played. And then Kurtz delivers it all in that Cary Grant style, like you're saying, which makes the whole thing just really memorable straight away. I think you're right. I think in 1959, audiences would have went crazy as soon as he started talking in that voice. Yeah. But before we even get to the beach, we have the arrival in Florida. Osgood is introduced. This guy is an absolute menace.
An absolute fiend.
And that's being generous. The girls step off the bus. All the old fellas lined up, leering away. And Osgood's like, Zowie, with a second he sees Sugar.
Zowie.
He's like Pepe Le Pew, just waiting for him to go hopping down the street. And he's not the only one. That bellboy trying on with Josephine is so far over the line, it's ridiculous. Just lets himself into their room, uninvited. Arrest this man. Unbelievable. But I love all the setup to the beach in Josephine and Daphne's room. There's some great lines in there. When Sugar and Daphne have the suntan lotion and Daphne's like, she'll rub it on me, I'll rub it on her, we'll rub it on each other. Really excited. Brilliant.
Oh, what a sleaze.
And then when Sugar goes, if my mother could see me now, and Daphne says, I hope my mother never finds out. Brilliant.
Yeah, Jerry's behaviour in the sea with Sugar, I mean, it's no good different to Osgood in the elevator.
No.
He thinks that the lipstick and rouge will let him get away with anything. Just a little trick I picked up in the elevator. Cackling like the Wicked Witch of the West. Outrageous. But Jerry shows up on the beach in that ludicrous outfit. I mean, how anyone can fall for this act. He's more attractive than Josephine. But Sugar has laid out her kind of like ideal man on the train, and I guess this is it, and he really takes advantage of it. That's hilarious. When that kid, getting that kid to buzz off, you heard your mother, Junior, scram, this is beach ain't big enough for the both of us, get out of here. Trips Sugar over when she runs past, straight from the playground. I thought immediately, Marilyn Monroe's pregnant and she takes a tumble like that. That's outrageous.
That's true.
Yeah.
This insane accent, I mean... what's going on here? And he's completely cold and emotionally detached. But Sugar just laps it up because we know what she's looking for. We know that she's looking for glasses. We know that she's looking for somebody with a yacht, with insane amounts of money, and this is the guy. I really love that Josephine and Junior are two ends of the spectrum. They look completely different, and I'll buy that Sugar doesn't think that this is one and the same person. I'll swallow that. But his Cary Grant impression... I mean, more Russell Grant, if anything. And right at the end of the scene, what I think is great is that Joe makes it back to the hotel room in the bath before Sugar and Daphne do, and you think, how on earth did he do that? But a few scenes later, we see Joe scaling the walls. That's how he did it. That's
Yeah.
really great
Yeah.
writing without making it too obvious.
Yeah, yeah. And great when he gets out of the bath and he's fully dressed.
Yeah.
Covered in suds. But it's interesting, yeah, you say there, look, about Marilyn Monroe. Is that definitely her that falls over? I can't think of the shot properly. It'd be interesting to watch it again.
I don't think it cuts.
Right? I'll have to watch it again.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy if it's her doing that, yeah.
I know.
And the Florida resort scenes were filmed at the Hotel del Coronado in San Diego, California, as was said. And Wilder later said he chose the hotel for its fairy tale looking qualities, but also because of Marilyn Monroe. He wanted a location where she could live on site and not have to be transported to the set.
Yeah. Didn't stop her getting lost, though.
No, still gets lost.
Every day.
Also, nice fact about that hotel. In the 1910s, Frank L. Baum stayed there and wrote some of his Wizard of Oz books there.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
And some reports also say it's the place where Edward VIII met Wallace Simpson in the 1920s.
Bloody hell.
So, yeah, some mystery to it.
And the idea to have juniors sound like Cary Grant came from Tony Curtis. He said he'd idolised Grant for years and was known among his friends for doing a great impression of him. And on the day of filming, Wilder asked him how he was planning to play Junior, and Curtis said, well, I do this really great Cary Grant impression. And Wilder said, do it.
Amazing.
Yeah. Apparently the first time Cary Grant saw the film, he was with Billy Wilder, and he said, I don't talk like that. He was joking, I think, because obviously he definitely does. Yeah.
And it's around this time when we get to the most famous musical number in the film, when Sugar sings I Want to Be Loved by You in the hotel. The song wasn't written for the film. It goes back to 1928 when it was performed by Helen Kane, and she was famous for ad-libbing boop boop ba-doop into the song, and that's where Marilyn got it from.
Ah, classic.
Yeah, Helen Kane was the inspiration for Betty Boop, the Fleischer Studios cartoon character.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
So presumably that's where they got the name Sugar Cane from as well.
Yes, I was thinking that. Yeah, must be.
But Marilyn here in that like beaded gown, that's often the image used on the promotional materials and stuff. So, I mean, Wilder complained, but I think he knew what he had.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this scene adds little to the narrative, if anything. But I think he just kind of went, let Marilyn do her thing.
Yeah.
It'll make it better.
Just do her thing. Yeah.
So that's the start of Florida. Junior on the beach, Osgood on the prowl, and Sugar glowing. The scams are all in motion, so should we see how Joe's plan plays out?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Bring
Let's
your
go.
yacht.
Bring your yacht.
That night, Joe takes Sugar out to the yacht, Osgood's, not his, where Junior plays the helpless millionaire and lets Sugar do all the work. Meanwhile, Daphne's being wined, dined and tangoed by Osgood himself. A couple of big seductions, Matt. What's your thoughts on it all?
Well, the one on the yacht, I think this is the trickiest scene to get right, because ultimately Joe is completely lying to Sugar about who he really is just to get his wicked way with her. And it's a tonal minefield. It could be so uncomfortable to watch, and yet somehow it isn't. It still retains this playfulness, and I think a lot of that, obviously down to Wilder, he doesn't let it become too sleazy. He knows the right note to strike. He makes sure we know Joe is desperately improvising and he doesn't have a grand plan. I mean, Joe pretending that he knows the yacht inside and out by opening every door. Lots of closet space. Like, he's not really in control. He could blow his own cover at any moment through his own ignorance. But also, crucially, it's just still really funny. The humour never flags when Sugar says, isn't water polo dangerous? His reply, I'd say I had 2 ponies drown under me. That's amazing. Such a great line. But it's Curtis's body language throughout this scene, like rigidly holding that glass out, always doing up his tie or his jacket after she kisses him, biting that chicken leg in between kisses, sprawled out on the couch. This scene gets away with any potential unpleasantness because for the most part, she's kissing him, not the other way around, which, yes, it's still not that much better because he's still lying to her, but he's not forcing himself on her, which I think is crucial. But you're just laughing too much to really care because Curtis just makes it really funny.
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing, it's not normal, to be honest.
Really not.
No, he's engineered this situation.
Yeah.
He really has. I mean, Joe sneaks Sugar onto somebody else's yacht that he's done by lying to the guy who owns it, who's busy courting his best friend, in order to woo a woman by pretending he's incapable of being wooed. It's lie after lie. And the film just, like, sails through it all, not a care in the world.
It does. I can't believe it.
It's also charming,
Yeah.
I think. I mean, at some point you'd think Sugar would twig that Junior saying, keep trying, it's still not working, is the oldest trick in the book. But it works because there is some warmth underneath it. I think Curtis plays it well because you can see Joe kind of falling for Sugar, even while he's running this massive scam. And that tension, I think, is what stops it being cruel to me. And the writing's clever because it's a comic set piece that's also a romantic love scene. And that balance is hard to pull off and work from both sides. But that's kind of what Wilder does. He probably does that better than anyone else. I mean, Junior just constantly saying, nah, nothing, kiss me again. Yeah. That could have aged pretty badly. But Wilder and Diamond's charm just carries it all through, I think.
Yeah.
And another great set as well. That yacht interior, fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. It's really good.
Size of that fish.
Yeah. How did they get them into those little jars? And there's a really famous Tony Curtis story about the film where they were on the set watching the rushes of the yacht scene, and he said to the crew that kissing Marilyn Monroe was like kissing Hitler, which is a little unkind.
A little unkind, yeah.
Paula Strasberg heard him and said, how can you say such a horrible thing? And Curtis apparently said, try acting with her, Paula.
Yeah.
Doubling down on it.
Yeah, Curtis basically spent the rest of his life in interviews saying it was just a joke, which obviously it was, but a little bit silly, maybe.
Yeah.
And for this scene, he did say as well, it took Marilyn 1.5 weeks to learn one line. So, must have been there for a while, if that's true.
I can understand him letting fly with a few barbed comments, considering like how difficult she was and how much she held up production. He must have been pulling his hair out.
Yeah. Oh, there would have been, yeah, exactly. I guess you must know, though, if you're going to say that, it's going to get out about the biggest movie star in the world.
Yeah. So we've got Junior and Sugar on the yacht, and then we've got Daphne and Osgood's date cross-cut with that. Now, Sugar's nauseating attempts to bring Junior out of his sexual shell. I'm a little less forgiving than you two fellas about that moment.
Okay.
I don't think it's like romantic for me. But
right.
While the discomfort of that is forever rising for me, we get this Daphne and Osgood doing the tango. I mean, this is dynamite. This is absolute dynamite. Yeah. Very reminiscent of a similar dance scene in The Apartment a year later.
Yeah.
With Lemmon.
Oh, that one's also hilarious.
Yeah, with the woman in the bar. Yeah.
It's incredible.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, where he's got the heads pressed together. Amazing. I love it.
The editing here is brilliant. It's like we're being spun from one scene to the other. Daphne looking thoroughly unimpressed. Osgood taking it absolutely seriously. And what I love is that they both know the steps inside out. They're pros. With Daphne leading a bit too much for Osgood's liking. That moment with the reveal of the white rose in Daphne's mouth and the switch to Osgood.
Brilliant.
That's comic timing of the highest order. That's amazing. So we're backwards and forwards, and no, Daphne might not be having the time of her life and she's taking one for the team. But with each transition, she seems to be loosening up. And by the last time we go back to them, they're the only ones in the club. And for all they care, they're the only two people in the entire world. Daphne just standing on the spot, pointing in the air. That's great.
Like Travolta?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is really funny, obviously. I think what I like most about this scene is the editing. All those like whip pan transitions snapping us like back and forth between Daphne and Osgood.
Yeah, so modern, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And then Junior and Sugar. Yeah, 1 second we're on the yacht with Sugar working her magic. Then we're whipped across the dance floor. There's such a great momentum to it, all that. I think that's a moment where you can see Wilder, the director, because it's so visual.
Yeah.
And a credit to Arthur P. Schmidt as well, the editor, who kind of did that. Mm-hmm. And I also love the moment Daphne spins round and has the rose in her teeth. Huge comedy, oversized one, obviously, as well. That's another moment where you just know that would have got a massive laugh in 1959 in the theatre.
Yeah.
And then it all pays off, kind of, when Daphne comes back to the hotel and tells Joe she's engaged to Osgood. Yeah. She's like adding up all the alimony, like it's a great financial decision. And that's the scene I was talking about. They got such a big laugh with the previews that they had to add pauses to it so the audience can keep up. You can see why it's like Lemmon, like at his best.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it is great.
And Osgood is played by Joe E. Brown, who had been one of the biggest movie comedians of the 1930s. In 1933 and 1936, he was listed as among the top 10 box office earners in Hollywood, and he made a string of hits with Warner Brothers. The most notable to date is On With the Show from 1929, which was the first all-colour and all-talking musical comedy.
Great.
But by the 50s, his starring career was over, so Wilder offered him a supporting role.
Yeah, On With the Show was the second colour film Warner did as well. It's in public domain now, I think, so if you fancy doing a remake, Matt, you can do.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
I'll get right on that.
Great. Well, that era when Joey Brown was big as well, he's up against like Laurel and Hardy and the Marx Brothers and W.C. Fields. So to be in the top 10, he was huge.
Yeah, it's massive.
And he's good here. I mean, total predator.
Oh, he's fantastic.
That, like, noiseless laugh that he does.
On the phone, on the yacht.
Yeah. Reminds me of Roland Rat. And Zowie, he says, like we mentioned earlier, that was one of his own catchphrases from his heyday. So a nice nod back to that.
Right. Nice.
And to prepare for filming the tango sequence, Jack Lemmon and Joe E. Brown went through weeks of lessons beforehand. One of their teachers was, in fact, George Raft, who plays Spats. Raft had been a professional dancer in New York clubs when he was younger and would give Lemmon and Brown tips between takes.
Yeah, he was a taxi dancer before he became an actor, George Raft. I came across a quote from Fred Astaire where he said, George Raft did the fastest Charleston I ever saw.
Wow.
High praise indeed.
I'd love to see that. I'd love to see Osgood doing that. Great. So that's the middle of Some Like It Hot. Florida, Junior and Daphne and Osgood tangoing into marriage. The net's about to close in, but before the finale, let's talk about the crew who helped pull it all together, should we?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And that is part 1 of our Some Like It Hot episode, done and dusted. But no need to hang about in the ladies' carriage. Part 2 is good to go right now. We'll be racing through the rest of the film, then slipping backstage to talk the screenplay, the music and the visuals before we get to the reaction, the legacy and our scores, of course.
Yeah.
So the whole band's still to play yet. So point yourself back to wherever part 1 showed up and shimmy on into part 2. We'll be back after this short break, so go get it. And thanks for listening this far.
See you there.
Zowie.